Hello and welcome to episode 1 of X-Men the Animated Series Re-Examined, a brand new podcast where myself, Dan Bain, and my longtime friend, associate and colleague, Hav Hakeem, we both kind of rewatch the X-Men animated series and chat about it. Is it still good? Does it hold up? Is it for adults as well as for children? How does it go? I know very little about the X-Men. I saw 1 or 2 episodes of this when I was young, and my friend Harv here knows way too much about the X-Men. He's been buried in the lore, characters, and trivia of the X-Men for many, many years. So, oh, look at that. 2 diverging perspectives on the same material. That sounds like drama already. The rest will reveal itself as we go. Harv, we're on episode 1 of the X-Men animated series. Give us an overview here on what happens in the episode.
Hello, everyone. X-Men episode 1. We've broad strokes of what happens. I'm sure you've all seen it. We meet Jubilee, who's new to the X-Men. She's going to be the person that we kind of like is going to be the fish out of water that we see and learn about the X-Men through her eyes. She's being tracked down by the Sentinels, which are horrible robots that track mutants. She gets rescued by the X-Men and taken back to the X-Mansion, where they then find out that they've got to take on the mutant research facility that holds a lot of information about other mutants and take that down. And we meet a lot of the X-Men, their ideals, their leader, and find out lots. It's true, Dan knows a little bit about the X-Men. I, through my years for my sins, know a lot about the X-Men. Pray that you're never at the same dinner party as I am, because I will exhaust you on this shit. Apologies, and none given as well.
All right, so have a lot of, as you say, a lot of things happen in this episode. Should we have a chat about some of our favourite moments?
Yes, but before we do, we'll be doing a disservice if we did not talk about the amazing opening theme tune. The first thing you see in X-Men is the intro, and I think the intro is absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
And for one, the theme tune, anyone who saw the show loves the theme tune. The funny thing about that, when I thought about it, when we rewatched this, was all the shows around the time, theme tunes were known for the lyrics. You'd sing along to them and everything. X-Men has no lyrics. Because I saw a little quick interview with the composer who did this, a guy called Ren Wiseman, and he was like, "Yeah, it's really hard to sing X-Men." You can't
the
make
lyric.
that scan.
Yeah. They're the X-Men here. They come. That kind of like, which really much so was the vibe. Even things that were kind of fun. I think about like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Which when I must have been about 8 when I first saw that, and like that actually blew. I was just like, what am I watching? I don't even. Mate,
the intro of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is better than any episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The aesthetic, the darkness, they look more deadly and badass in that intro. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, whereas Ninja Turtles, the show itself, is fun, but is quite campy. It's got that.
Oh, totally.
It's got a bit of there's a lot of Scooby Doo in its in its DNA, right? It's still
For Leonardo, a guy that has katanas, he can never use them because of censorship.
They're too deadly.
He can never use them. They're too deadly.
Yeah.
The intro is amazing for X-Men. The fact that you get this little introduction of each character, you know how like they have the name above there and its own special font and stuff, easily lends itself to we're a team, but hey, which is your favorite?
It actually doesn't really give you pause to breathe. It's just cool moment after cool moment, and each one of those moments is about half a second long.
Yes.
And so as a kid, like I remember just being overwhelmed with like, there's too many cool things happening. It's too cool. She's firing lightning. Well, I need to think about that. Too late. There's a guy with claws for hands.
They're all running. They're all running in one direction.
What are they running at? Who are these guys?
It's action.
Yeah.
It's action. It's
Yeah.
great. The one thing about the intro I will say that kind of like we were all waiting for, there's a bit in the intro where Wolverine kind of like rubs his claws against each other as he spreads his arms, and he kind of creates this like electricity field. And for the longest time, I think me and several friends were like, does that mean Wolverine has like lightning powers? When's he going to use that? And he never did.
No,
It's not
that
in his power set.
that was
It's
a
not in
that
his
was a
power
stylization of how to show that they were really sharp.
Yes, it was.
So should we talk about episode 1?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you'd seen this, maybe not on the its global release day, but it was the first episode that you'd seen. I hadn't seen this at all.
Yeah? Oh, you'd never seen the pilot?
I'd never seen the pilot. And I loved this. I thought the pilot episode of this was kind of great. Like, just the way that it kind of set stuff up, built the world really efficiently, and well, avoiding massive dumps of exposition. I just thought it was, so well made. I really enjoyed it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Even the title alone, the title's called Night of the Sentinels, which kind of has a bit of a kind of horror kind of tone to it, like Night of the Living Dead, whatever. We quickly established that mutants are hated in the world. I do love it that it starts off with a news report about Sabretooth throwing police cars around, talking about like how, mutants, they're dangerous. And it says, a suspected mutant attack. And it's got footage of Sabretooth. Like, as far as we know in this world, there are no other superheroes anywhere. And they're like, do you think this guy who's 3 times bigger than anyone else and throwing police cars,
Yeah.
he might be a mutant?
Like, he's not even one of those mutants that just looks like a person but has a power that manifests. He's he's huge and like clawed and like.
Imagine if a lion took too many steroids. That's what this guy looks like. And they're like, I suspected mutant. Like, he's
I reckon he might be one.
I think you got it.
I don't want to typecast, but I reckon he might be one. Sabretooth we're straight into action. He's throwing police cars. He's surrounded by them. And straight away we're introduced to this kind of the idea of there being a mutant control. Well, first of all, there's a mutant problem, but there is a mutant control program in place.
Yes,
that we also find out on the news there, and then we pull out, and we're in Jubilee's house. The crisis of Jubilee is the kind of for me the through line to these first 2 episodes.
She's our fish out of water, character that the viewer you hold on to. We're going to look at everything through her eyes.
Yeah, so, something that I'm really interested to see as I kind of rewatch this as a grown up is the looking at the work through the valence of kind of queerness. So much of it is like, I've got to hide that I'm a mutant, and
absolutely.
If people find out that I'm a mutant, I'll be in trouble. And and Jubilee kind of reads so much as that kind of closeted teenager. My identity. Why am I feeling these feelings?
Exactly. What's happening to me? Why is this happening to me? It's not my control. I didn't want this. All that. So we kind of see her foster parents, and they're saying like, "Oh, she's definitely a mutant," and like in a very much like in a way that would be like, "Oh no, I think our daughter's gay" or something like that. And they talk about having reached out to the mutant control agency or the mutant program. In a very much a way they're talking about it. It's totally the equivalent of a gay conversion camp. It really is. They're like, oh no, I've reached out. They can help her. They're the only people that can help her through this terrible affliction.
Yeah. I guess the main enforcement of this is these massive robots.
The Sentinels.
The Sentinels, yeah. They seem to just have a remit to do anything. It's like go and apprehend this mutant, and they're allowed to just fly in and punch through the wall of someone's house.
Oh, so you got the mutant's information. Like, we could just send a couple of guys around under the guise of helping her to get to the camp. It'd be really easy. We'll have a car waiting and everything. You sure you want to go with the giant robot?
Yeah. Let's send 2.
I'd like you to program it to like just punch through the wall of their house and like crush her bed on the off chance she's in there.
Yeah, she might be.
Does.
That'll surprise her.
Yeah. I love when the Sentinel just punches through there, grabs her bed, crushes it in his massive robot fist, and then slowly opens it and goes, "Oh, nothing here." Like, what if there was something there? She's dead.
No, I missed. And this is, I guess, one of the other things that runs through this episode is just like, why are they allowed to do this? Is the scale of the mutant problem so huge that it justifies? These robots can do anything. They can just they just destroy anything.
The Sentinels at this point are causing more terror than the mutants.
Yeah,
because the Sentinel chases her to the mall, and everyone in the car park is screaming and running, and the Sentinel is smashing through concrete, smashing through cars, smashing through windows. But I ask you, who's the real problem here?
Yeah, I know. And so something that I caught in that when the Sentinel just trashes the car park is there's a kid in the background who goes, "Mommy, buy me that, buy me that."
Yeah, buy me that toy.
Yeah.
Great
yeah.
Way. Just a little throwaway joke there. It's there if you want it.
Yeah, see if you want it. And it's like, oh, I did want it. I
and
like that.
Also, a little bit of subliminal, like, we make all our money from the show off merch. So, yes,
yeah.
buy
it's
him
like,
that toy.
You could own this.
So, Jubilee runs into the shopping mall for Sanctuary. Oh, she's in the arcade. She's
in the arcade, yeah. And this is, I never really knew what Jubilee's deal was. I knew that she kind of shot fireworks.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way that her powers kind of manifest / malfunction, or like that she doesn't have control of them, is it keeps frying electronics. So we see it earlier.
Look what you did to the VHS player.
Yeah, that's right. And it does this to the arcade machine, which it comes to probably one of my favorite lines of this episode, which is,
"Oh, I think you know what you're gonna say. Hey, do you know how much that machine costs?"
Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, $25," and then runs off. It's like, you're so...
she's right.
Yeah, and then she runs. So, and then she runs out of the mall and she bangs into Storm and Rogue.
You know what? For X-Men who have been trained in the danger room, I was kind of surprised they were caught off guard that easily. Kid running through the mall took them both out.
Yeah, I guess it's because they had so many packages.
Yes, they're doing comedic stacked high shopping.
Jubilee has picked the day to run away to the mall to be the same day that the X-Men have all got into the X minivan. And go, yes. You guys all want to go to the mall? Because they've...
I'll come too. Yeah, I need to get some things. Well, mate, this is the early 90s in America. Everyone hangs out at the mall. Yeah, everyone's there.
I mean, what else would they do, right? We get a great series of character introductions here.
I will never forget the introduction of Gambit because it was just in my mind, because also we were 10 years old, and so we just started to go like, maybe girls are quite pretty. And he's in there buying a pack of cards, and the lady is like kind of flirting with him. He's flirting back. And she says, "Oh, you like cards?" And he goes, "I like playing solitaire, unless I got someone to play with." And in my 10-year-old mind, I was like, that is the smoothest shit anyone's ever said. Yeah. This guy's amazing.
Yeah. Just my notes just say, Gambit turns up and is immediately horny. Like just
that's
straight,
Gambit's natural state, man.
It's a statement, a precis statement of the character, and it's this guy likes to fuck. Because we're going through, we're meeting the characters. These initial meetings are going to be kind of emblematic of who they are, of the journey they go on. And for Gambit, it's like, he likes to bang.
He likes cards and bang and wooing the ladies. It's such a great line. I like solitaire unless I got someone to play with. Yeah. And even when the robot head, the Sentinel, comes crashing through the store, he just goes, "I'll be right back." Like he's like, "This isn't over." You know?
Oh yeah,
have another shot at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, she's terrified now. This is going to be a bit harder.
People start screaming and running, and Rogue is like, "Oh, must be a sale," which I find is a bit...
Again, what have we had now? Like 3 solid jokes? 3 solid jokes. We're like 5 minutes into the episode. It's great.
The jokes are quite good.
Yeah. I mean, for 92,
Yeah.
for a kids show. By the way, during this podcast, you are gonna be hearing my absolute adoration for Cyclops. I'm a massive Cyclops fan. I know a lot of people don't like him, and I understand why. However, he's one of my favorite characters, and even in the first 2 episodes, you'll come to realize he's one of the most efficient.
Yeah, I do know this about you, and I'm interested to explore it because I can kind of see why Cyclops perhaps appeals to a grown-up. I'm interested to know why it appeals to a child.
Oh, the costume, first and foremost, like laser eyes and visor. The visor was so cool.
The visor is cool.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's interesting that because like his personality is just, he's a bit of a, particularly in these episodes, he's a bit of a wet blanket.
He's got to lead the team, man. He can't all just be emotion through the... You know what? Gambit can't lead. He's too busy trying to fuck. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I don't think he wants to
Rogue
lead
and
either.
Storm can't lead. Clearly, they're too busy shopping.
Yeah.
Yep. Cyclops is the only leader here. And by the way, so Cyclops shows up. Sentinel takes a terrible shot at him, misses, and Cyclops immediately decapitates the Sentinel.
Yeah.
All right? 3 X-Men have had a crack at this Sentinel.
Yeah.
They've not taken him down. Cyclops shows up. Boom, bam. Oh, yeah, the neck. Hit him there. They can't operate without that. Boom, one shot decapitates him. And another reason why I think they chose to use Sentinels in the opening episode, because you can dismember robots.
Yeah.
You can't dismember people, but robots, fair game.
Yeah, real issue in a children's cartoon. Now, somehow Jubilee ends up back at the house.
Jubilee was like gassed by the Sentinel, and she falls into Cyclops' arm. They take her back to the X-Mansion to monitor her, and she wakes up. And this is very X-Men 1, Hugh Jackman waking up in the X-Men 1 movie. You know, she's running around the school like, what is this? And kind of, this is a quick way to meet a lot of the other X-Men. She runs into like Professor X, she sees Beast, and Morph. I found this funny rewatching this. Morph, who can shapeshift, is just sitting there watching TV, having the time of his life, shapeshifting to everyone that's on TV, and making a little joke and chuckling to himself. He doesn't know he's being watched. I was like, this guy has more fun watching TV than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's having a great time. Like, he's clearly someone who has really come to terms with himself as a mutant, and it's just like, this is fun. Like, look,
yeah. He also has another little joke in there when there's a perfume ad on TV that's Aggression by Calvin Klein or something very close, and he turns into the guys and goes, Aggression by Calvin Klein. And I was like, oh, there you go, another joke. You're nailing it.
Yeah.
There was a frustrated comedian in the X-Men writers' room.
Yeah.
By the way, Morph, this character Morph, people might be going, where is Morph in the comics? Morph was not in the comics. He is actually a new character for the show, but he's essentially based on this old Marvel character called Changeling with the same power set. He even looks like him a bit. They couldn't call him Changeling in the show or use Changeling because, A, he was a very obscure member from the comics with a crappy costume, and B, at the time, DC had another character called Changeling as well, and the showrunners did not want to get into a legal battle of 2 characters called Changeling, so they just said, we'll just change it to Morph. And they were going to use him kind of like as a throwaway character, but in fact, he ended up becoming incredibly popular. So that's
because it reminds me. I mean, he has the kind of same power from the film world as
Mystique.
Mystique,
yeah, totally. But with a lot more sense of humor.
Yeah. It's a funny character and a really clever kind of device that they've got is they give him that really distinctive laugh so that when he's another character, when he's morphed into another person, he still does the laugh, and you can track.
I've just from your explaining that, I'm just like, oh my god, that's exactly why he has that laugh, because that's the most annoying thing about Morph. We like him, but that that kind of muttly, Saturday morning cartoon villain, annoying laugh. It's when he changes into other people. You can tell it's Morph. You're very good at this.
Yeah, the things that because you take that for granted as a kid because you don't see there's no understanding of the crafting underneath it. But having not seen it as a kid and kind of coming at it as an adult who understands things to a degree, you go, oh, I see what they do. Oh, great, that's clever. Whereas if you've just come in, you're like, Morph's got a laugh that annoys me.
Is the danger room a bit easy to get into?
For a room that's in the danger room and that can kill people, maybe you want to have a few more barriers to entry into that room. Rather than just being able to stumble into it while you're trying to find the toilet or something.
Yeah.
How many guests to the X-Mansion were like, I'm just going to go find the restroom, and then hours later they find their body in the danger room.
Oh.
Now, in the danger room, this is the first time we get Wolverine. Now, Wolverine, obviously one of the most popular characters in the series. I do like, you know how you were talking about their intros. What's the word you use? Emblematic of their character. The first thing we see Wolverine do is smash through a wall.
Yeah.
So very quickly tell us, this is how this guy solves problems. Smashing shit.
Yeah. Something that I'd forgotten about Wolverine that I kind of I'd never kind of clocked in some of the more recent films and stuff is how good he is at sniffing.
Yes. His nose is very good.
He's got a real I can smell things. Bob.
But it's really funny because, strictly speaking, his mutation is his healing factor.
Yeah.
And his adamantium claws were from an experiment. This reeks, like, no pun intended, of like later on the showrunners going, or the character creators going, what if he was really good at sniffing as well? We've got the healing and we've got the bones, but like, his name's Wolverine. What if he could sniff shit out as well? Like, really be really feral.
Yeah.
Be more animalistic. And they're like, yeah. All right. Super sniffing is now in his wheelhouse too.
Yeah. I mean, is that, or is it actually not a mutation? Does he just have a really good sense of smell?
Maybe. He does, like,
and it reads to us like it's a mutation because we're like, oh yeah, Wolverine, he's a mutant. But maybe it's just a guy who's like, you smell that?
It's just got a really trained nose.
Yeah.
If I had a good trained nose like him, I would never let anyone forget. Just be like, by the way, that ain't a mutation. I'm just really good with my nose, okay?
Yeah.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Okay? No X gene for that.
Yeah. Look, me, I got a healing factor. That's it. But that's all Logan.
Also, a good reminder that Wolverine is a short man. He's a small man, not like Hugh Jackman's towering 6-foot frame.
There is something kind of inherent in the Wolverine character that is about, like, I have short man syndrome.
Absolutely.
Like, he's so aggressive and kind of gets overwhelmed by, like, just the kind of, the way to solve this is to fight my way through it.
And, like, every little bit of talkback, like, in the first 2 episodes, I think he says the line, I go where I want to go, like about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. They want us to know that Wolverine, you know, he's an independent operator. He might be in the team, but you know, not only when it serves his purposes.
Absolutely. In this show, the show writers, when they were like writing the treatment for this, they've clearly underlined several times in red pen, show he is a maverick.
The real issue, I think, with Wolverine, right, who's like his mutation is so kind of visually exciting, but it's actually quite hard to utilize, particularly in something for children, because
like Leonardo Katana's.
Exactly, to actually attack someone with those would leave an extraordinary mess.
I think we should keep a running tally of the amount of times that Wolverine is about to use his claws on a living thing, but then somehow gets comedically taken away. He
calls Gambit Gumbo, with all the energy of a really intense racial slur.
Yeah. And he calls Cyclops Four Eyes another time.
Yeah.
Short man syndrome.
There's this little scene that comes in after this where Jubilee and Storm kind of sit on up on like a balcony,
They're
up
on the
on the
roof.
top of the school, and this is the only real point in the episode where there's a bit of an exposition dump. Everything else has kind of been told through action, kind of, or through environmental world building, and this is the first time that someone sits us down and says,
Storm, what is a mutant?
"What is a mutant?" And and she kind of
Doesn't actually answer a question.
no, it's just like, "You want to see me do some lightning?"
I just prefer if you answered what's going on with my body.
No, check this out.
I always thought like Storm's power was like, this is the one that's quite hard for me to kind of get on board with, because the other ones I get it, you know, my mutation is I heal quickly, or I evolved into like this beastie thing where I can shapeshift, but I can control the weather. It's a great idea for a superhero. It's hard to buy as a mutation.
Well, yeah, because it feels external rather than internal, right?
Exactly. There you go. You've summed it up very concisely. Which is Dan's mutation, by the way, as we go through this podcast.
I mean, I think it's important to let's not far out. Let's not become like going too deep into how plausible the X-Men mutations are.
But where do we draw the line?
Where do you draw the line? But there is something about Storm's one which is more feels more like some sort of mastery of elemental form, which feels more magical.
Yes. And also because, you know, she dresses it up with her beautiful, grandiose kind of delivery. Behold! Mistress of the elements.
Yes, she's very theatrical.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how Rogue even tells her, like, ease up on the speeches, sugar.
That's right.
It's time for like the big adventure, or the big mission of the episode. Wolverine kind of goes his own way,
but then he meets them. They all meet kind of back up outside this complex where Jubilee's been kidnapped by the Sentinels.
She's not in there, actually. She's been taken off to a different base in Detroit.
That's right. Oh, that's right. This is where the all the records are kept of the
mutants.
Mutant Control Program.
They've got to destroy them, so what happened to Jubilee can't happen to other mutants out there.
That's right. And Wolverine turns up, and he's just got this throwaway line, which is he's like, I got bit by a dog.
Yes, I picked up on that too. They're like, did you get anything? He's like, no, I trailed like cold. I got bit by a dog too. What'd you do, Wolverine? Make fun of his smelling ability?
It's such a funny little line, and it's because it's not a joke, but it reveals.
It's funny though.
It's a great revelation of character. We get the sense of a world bigger than what we are seeing, and the throwaway of got bit by a dog too.
And you know what? That you can tell it hurts him emotionally, because the guy's got a healing factor. Getting bit by a dog is nothing for this guy, but it's more the. I thought he was my friend.
yeah. I went to pat him. It was a really bad idea.
We sniffed each other's butts. I thought we were good. This episode ends on a cliffhanger, which is incredibly progressive or advanced for a series. Like, you know, all other shows, I keep talking about other shows at the time, but it's true. Other shows around the time were supposed to be modular. You know, the status quo ends. It's the same at the end of the episode, so the next episode can start on a fresh slate, which is the same slate for everything. But this one goes, no, it's going to be a two-parter. We're going to leave you on a cliffhanger, so you want to come back and watch the next one. And I thought it was a really good choice from the showrunners to do that.
Yeah, especially considering kind of the, there was no binge. There was no binge watch. You were waiting a week.
You missed it.
Yeah, you were waiting a week, and if you weren't there, well, I hope you can program the VCR.
Yeah, and so that kind of brings us to the end of episode 1. And what an action-packed episode it was. We meet all these characters, we get the world, there's jeopardy, they're in trouble. Oh my god, what's going to happen?
So, Professor X is running a school for mutants, and in this one, I remember in the movies, like the older characters were kind of teachers, but in this one, I think it's Storm in that exposition scene, is like, no, we're all students here. And so my question is, what is the teaching program and what qualifications do you get?
You get a T-shirt, first
Awesome.
off. You get a certificate that says you're an X-Man with a number of missions on it.
Yeah.
You get a cool code name.
Oh,
I mean, that's
right.
better than any degree.
Yeah, right. So you don't get letters after your name. You get a new name.
No. You get a new name, like, and
amazing.
depending how good you were at school, you get, it's depending. That's the difference between your nickname being Eviscerator or Snappy.
Jubilee's code name is just her name. Does she get a name in the future?
She doesn't. Jubilee's a bit of a weird one, but she's chosen as the character to kind of, like I said, be the fish out of water character. Her full name is Jubilation, which other, Storm loves calling her. But it's always just Jubilee, and I think there was kind of like a bit of a choice to kind of keep her as someone that we kind of see this through. It's funny, she went to, in the comics as well, she kind of ended up going on different teams here, there, but she never got a code name. Yeah, even Jean Grey, who everyone calls Jean Grey, did have a code name. At one point she was Phoenix, one point she was Marvel Girl, but Jubilee is a weird one. Didn't get a code name.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's because, in a way, she's kind of got a pun real name, right? Like, I mean, the connection I'd always made was like, if you're at a Jubilee, they let off fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, whatever helps you sleep at night, Jubilee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds very much like what a parent says to a child that just realised, am I not the favourite?
Yeah.
Little tidbit about Jubilee. Everyone gave her shit about her powers being so crap. About they're just fireworks. In the comics, they actually kind of broke down what it is, and like it's, I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's like some form of like energy manipulation on a small scale. Essentially, they kind of tapped in and realized, oh, she can detonate things at a subatomic level, and they realized by that they were like, oh, she can technically become a nuclear bomb. Yeah, so there you go. In case you're wondering, like, oh, Jubilee never gets to be badass. She can produce bombs. She's a nuke factory. So
amazing.
She's fun with awesome sunglasses that every kid in the 90s wanted as well.
Her sunglasses are pretty awesome. Cool. That was episode 1 of X-Men the Animated Series Re-Examined. Join us on the rest of the journey. Join us as things continue. Join us as we explore part 2 of this 2-part episode. We'll be back next week with part 2 of this. We'll be continuing weekly until we either finish this or die. You can follow the podcast wherever you love to follow a podcast, on your platform of choice, Apple Podcasts, etc. Both Harv and myself work live and on the internet regularly. You can keep up and catch up with all of those things through the various links provided in the notes for this show. But the best thing you can always do for a show like this, particularly when it's starting out, is if you have a friend who is into this sort of nonsense, let them know about the show. It really helps us out and allows us to keep going. We'll see you back next week for the next episode. Thank you for this project, Harv, and
thank you, Dan. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Fun first episode. Thank you, mate. We'll catch you guys next time. What's going to happen?
Oh my gosh. Bye.
Bye.
Are podcasts too interesting? Especially if you use them to fall asleep. I'm Dan Bain, and all 4 seasons of my podcast, Sleepy Time Mumbles, are interesting enough to listen to, but not interesting enough to keep you awake. Sleepy Time Mumbles, a podcast you can miss, wherever you get your podcasts.